Hey, my dear Anxious Adventurer listeners. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to make sure you listen to part 1 of this two-parter. If you haven't done that yet, hit pause and go back to my last episode. It's important to listen to part 1 first so that part 2 makes sense. Now, where did I leave off? Oh yes, the conclusion that I came to and how Miss Dolly Parton had something to do with that. I know it may sound a bit odd, but trust me, and just enjoy the rest of the story. It's going to be a good one. Hello, and welcome to the Anxious Adventure podcast. I'm Katie Schlegel, your host. I've traveled to a lot of places around this beautiful planet, seen so many jaw-dropping sights, and I've met some pretty amazing human beings along the way. Now, if you don't know this yet, I'm an anxious adventurer. If you're wondering what an anxious adventure even means, well, to put it quite simply, it means that when I travel, I get anxious and stressed out, maybe a little easier or more often than the average person. However, over my many years of traveling, I've learned to tap into something special that makes traveling so much easier and more fun. That is my intuition. And the more I've learned to trust my gut during my travels, the more synchronistic, amazing, and even healing my travel experiences have been. If you're new around here, I'm assuming you found this podcast because of the name, because you too are an anxious adventurer. So welcome. This is a safe place to be yourself. My hope is that you use these travel stories, experiences, and tips as ways to help you tap into your intuition so that you too can be swept off into the wonderful world that traveling can open up for you. Traveling can be so healing for people like us, if you have the tools and understanding for it to be so. But you don't have to do this alone. I'm here to be your guide and help you on your path to healing your anxiousness and stress around traveling. So get ready to fill up your cup with magical moments where you find out that this planet is really a friendly place. You just have to change the way you look at it, follow your gut, and step out your door. But don't you worry, I am right here beside you. In my last episode, I told you a little bit of an embarrassing story. If you forgot, here's a little refresher for you. I've been trying to figure out my why for my online business, Mariposa Skies, and why I want to manifest $10,000 a month. That's one of my big goals for 2024. The first layer of this shocked me because, let's be honest, it was kind of shallow. I want to make that money so I can buy more things. I started Mariposa Skies ultimately because I love to shop. It's one of my most favorite things to do when I travel to other countries, cities, or towns. I always want to go shopping and see what I can find, buy, and bring back home with me. It really makes me happy. But like I said, I felt like there was more to this, so I dug a little deeper. And here's the conclusion I came to that blew me away. Yet again, there's a backstory. So here it goes. Since my mom transitioned and passed to the other side in 2020, life has been a series of, what do I do now? I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue Mariposa Skies because my mom was my cheerleader, daily encourager, and a big part of my business. She still is, just in a different way, but more on that another time. Since then, I've been trying to figure out my purpose yet again. I know I have been put on this earth to do great things and really make a tremendous impact. But after my mom was physically no longer with me, my purpose wavered a bit. So I started to search for the answer, often outside myself. But in 2023, something happened. I was introduced to a new teacher, Echo Bodine. She's salt of the earth, very authentic, honest, and just a hoot. She's a spiritual healer, and ready for this? A psychic. Now, before you shut down, or maybe now you're more intrigued, just hear me out. Something shifted in me when my mom passed. I think it had always been there, just bubbling underneath the surface, but I had never let it out. Then the worst thing possible happened in my life, and I lost my best friend, my mom. That did something to me. I started to seek out information about what happens after death. Then I started to see hawks show up, sitting on fences so close to me, I could literally reach out and touch them. I started getting these little signs, like finding a random mylar balloon laying on the ground that said, "I love you, Mom." So many synchronicities started to happen each and every day that I started to make notes in my phone about all of them. It was crazy. I didn't know what was going on. Now, when this started to happen, I started to seek out the answers as to why these things were happening. And when you genuinely seek out the answers, the universe shows up for you in big ways. And this is what I discovered. I'm an intuitive, a healer, a light worker. Like I mentioned before, I've always known I was put on this earth to do great things. But what does having an online accessory shop and a podcast about travel have to do with what I just said? Well, everything, really. Stick with me here. Shopping makes me really happy, it's true. But there's a conclusion I came to as to why it makes me happy and brings all of this full circle. I figured out a key component of this on a recent trip to Knoxville, Tennessee, where my friend Jamie treated me to a fun day at Dollywood. This is where the fabulous Miss Dolly Parton comes into play. On a side note, if you subscribe to my newsletter, this part of the story I did not share with you yet. As we were there having fun and enjoying all the fall festivities of Dollywood, we got to my most favorite part of the park. Can you guess what that was? If you said all the shops, then you guessed right. I loved seeing how Dolly set up this part of the park. She really showcased that Southern charm and culture in all her shops. From her home goods store to making your own jewelry to getting your very own tin sign made. And, my fave, her Christmas cottage shop. I found myself more excited for this part of the Dollywood experience than any other part of the day. In fact, I went on a little shopping spree and found some amazing fun boots, an oh-so-soft shrug in the perfect pale pink color, and a Dolly crew neck sweatshirt. And this is what this fun shopping experience at Dollywood showed me. I love shopping for clothing and accessories. Yes, it makes me happy, but why does this make me so happy? Well, it's because of this. The experience it gives me. It's all about creating life experiences. I love to shop and buy things when I travel because these pieces are connected to these special experiences. Because let's be honest, what is life but all your experiences strung together, creating wonderful moments with your loved ones, creating memories of your experiences here on this earth, creating connections with amazing people, places, and things. Think about it for a second. Look through your closet or your jewelry box. Pull out a random piece and hold it in your hands. Look at it, really feel it, and ask yourself what memory or experience is attached to it. I guarantee you all the memories of that experience will come rushing back to you as if you were there. Experiences can be so powerful, and often we can even remember what we were wearing in detail. So when we put on those pieces again and again, we get to relive those special moments and remember them. Now, not all experiences are wonderful, right? However, we want to start creating more and more of those special experiences. And let me ask you this, what do those special experiences often do for you? Often, they help heal some part of you that needed healing. And that's when it hit me. I created Mariposa Skies to help heal this planet and bring light to those dark places. Each piece I've ended up purchasing for the shop gives a gift of an experience to the person who receives it. And ultimately, whether they realize it or not, helps heal a part of them. Whether that be the necklace that means to shine in Quechua, to remind you of the light that you have within you, or giving the gift of a warm scarf to someone you know who really needs to feel that warmth and love of a big hug right now. or putting on a bold and unique bracelet that helps you step into your confidence. I didn't know this was even my why until this past December, when I finally allowed myself to fully step into who I am and truly shine. I've already shared most of this with my email subscribers, so this was my next step, sharing it with you, my listeners. And the reason I want to share this with you is because I want to give you the opportunity, perhaps even the permission, to step into your light of who you truly are as well. Now I know it's a bit scary. Okay, if I'm being really honest, it's really scary. I mean, another word for an intuitive is a psychic, so I feel you. There's a lot of stuff around that word that needs to be healed. And I know probably some of you are thinking right about now that I'm weird. And hey, it's okay. I am weird. I fully own that. But you know what? I looked up the definition of weird, and it says this. As an adjective, it means suggesting something supernatural. And in the archaic or Old English meaning, it means, are you ready for this? A person's destiny, fate. Whoa, I just got goosebumps. How amazing is that? So what does this mean for Mariposa Skies and this podcast? Well, things are going to be a little different around here. Even more authentic, more real, and yes, more weird. I'm going to start creating a different shopping experience at Mariposa Skies. One that heals, one that supports, one that really makes a difference in this world, and one that incorporates my gifts as an intuitive, a healer, and a light worker. I feel like this has been the missing piece. So this is my invitation to you. I'd love to invite you to stick around and to continue this journey with me. But I want you to know it's going to be quite different. I'm going to be sharing a lot more woo-woo with you. Yep, I said it. I'm going to start incorporating some of the amazing healing stories I've experienced and talk about my own journey of healing my grief as well as my anxiety with the help of crystals. Yeah, and my intuition, of course. I told you, a lot more woo-woo. But I know as a traveler and a lifelong learner, people have their own set of beliefs, and yours may differ from mine. And that's okay. If you think I've gone a little wackadoo, you're right, I totally have. But if I've learned anything over these past years, it is this. These differences don't have to divide us. They can unite us and make us stronger. One thing I loved about my mom was she was a Christian in every sense of the word. Devoted, read her Bible, prayed every day, went to church every week. And when we would travel to these countries that did not have the same beliefs she did, she would do something amazing. She would listen, interact, ask genuine questions, and simply wanted to learn, soaking it all in. And every time she did this, I saw something incredible happen. People would drop their defenses and ask her the same questions she was asking them. So she got to talk about her beliefs too, having a very authentic interaction. And ultimately, what I realized was happening was that she was helping heal a part of these people with her words and her genuine interest in wanting to know who this person was. It was so beautiful. And since her death, I've realized I have this gift too. So now that I've gone off my rocker and told you all these things, I do hope you stick around for the fun and hopefully join me in the next part of this journey. It's gonna be a magical one, definitely an adventure, and without a doubt, super weird. And with that, my dear anxious adventurers, this concludes my two-part story of my journey of figuring out my why. My sights are set high this year, guys, and I want to accomplish a lot. So cheers to 2024. This is just the beginning. Before I sign off, I want to invite you to come on over to my community on Instagram at Mariposa Skies. Instagram is the visual part of this podcast, and it's where I share more travel insights, talk about the fashion and artisans I find on my travels, and help inspire you to get out and experience this beautiful world we live in. As I mentioned, I'm creating a new shopping experience at Mariposa Skies. So if you don't see new posts from me right now, I'm working in the background putting all of this together. So hit follow anyways. It's gonna start to get even more fun over there, because if I've learned anything from this life thus far, it is that laughter heals. And let's be honest, it makes you feel better too. Also, wherever you listen to your podcasts, please follow, subscribe, and hit those 5 stars if you like the podcast. It really does help this podcast gain more momentum. And if you happen to be a listener on Apple Podcasts, I'd love it if you'd leave a review. And if you leave a 5-star review, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. As always, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate every single one of you. You have no idea, guys. Without you listening, I'd literally just be talking to myself. So truly, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I hope you learned a little, maybe laughed a little, and my hope is that it gave you some things to think about. So until next time, my dear anxious adventurers, I wish you happy travels this year and a totally weird 2024. Besos. Mwah.